At the beginning of this film, we meet two sisters working for a new church, Sister Bastian and Sister Berniers. Their task is to bring new members to the church. Those who accept their offer will be invited to their home, where they will be taken to the church. On the way, the sisters meet some girls who bully Sister Paxson. Sister Paxson starts crying, which shows that she is very naive and soft-hearted. Seeing this, Sister Bernie explains to her that she needs to be stronger. Sister Bernie tells Paxson that crying won't solve anything. As they continue talking, it starts raining, and both sisters get wet. They eventually arrive at Mr. Reed's house, where they need to ask questions about Rillin. Mr. Reed invites them inside, but Sister Bernier says they can't enter unless there's a lady in the house. Mr. Reed says his wife is home and making blueberry pies in the kitchen, with the scent of blueberries filling the air. Obeying the church rule, they stay outside and wait. They park their bicycles outside and go inside. They remove their wet coats and give them to Mr. Reed. They sit and wait, and Mr. Reed tells them his wife will join them shortly. He then questions them about their past lives. We learn that both sisters were once part of a church. Mr. Reed asks if they believe in God, to which they answer yes. He then shows them the Book of Mormon, written by Joseph Smith. According to him, Joseph Smith didn't believe in any religion until an angel appeared to him during a difficult time, which led him to believe in God. Mr. Reed asks if they think Joseph Smith's words are true, and they confidently answer yes. He then asks if there is life after death. Sister Paxson replies that when she dies, she will sit on the finger of her loved ones as a butterfly to let them know she is with them even after death. He then asks if it's okay for a man to have more than one marriage. Sister Paxson immediately says it's not acceptable for her. He then asks why their churches follow this rule. Sister Berniers explains that their church encourages families to have more members, which results in more church members. The man challenges this, stating that Joseph Smith had more than one marriage for personal reasons, and others started doing the same. Hearing this, the sisters are surprised as the man seems to know more than they do. He tells them that the more they read about religion, the less they realize they actually know. Afterward, Mr. Reed gets up and walks toward another room. He invites them in, saying if they want to meet his wife, they should come inside. The sisters feel something is wrong, as it is completely dark inside. When Sister Paxson lights a candle, it reveals a blueberry fragrance candle, showing that Mr. Reed was lying. There was no blueberry pie being made, and no one else was there. Realizing something is wrong, the sisters pretend to call the church, but Mr. Reed reveals that his house is made of metal, so no signal can come through. At this point, they realize they've been trapped. Sister Bernier suggests talking to Mr. Reed, hoping he will let them go. They follow him into the room. It was built exactly like a church. As soon as they arrived, they said to the man, "We need to go to church. Please let us go." The man replied, "I didn't imprison you here. The front door will open in the morning because there's a timer beyond this. If you want, you can use the back doors to leave." However, when they tried to open the first door, it led them through the basement. This made them uneasy, and when they opened the second door, it also led through the basement. They began to feel that the man had deliberately trapped them. Later, the father tells them about a stumble. The sisters grew more upset that they hadn't yet returned, so they set out to find them. They didn't ask the man to let them out because they knew he wouldn't. The man began talking to them normally and showed them a game called Monopoly, along with other games like it, where the rules were similar but the names were changed. The man said, "Look, all these games are the same. The way to play them is also the same, yet people buy and play them eagerly." He then placed 3 Leon holy books on the table and told them, "I have read all 3. The same things are written in all of them, which means only one Leon is authentic, while the others copied the previous ones." He also mentioned that their church is fake and doesn't matter who they copied from. Sister Berniers put her hand in her pocket, realizing that she had no keys to her bicycle. Paxson also didn't have her keys. At that moment, they knew they had been trapped, as their bicycles must have been tampered with. The man, knowing their situation, kept the keys to their bicycles, completing his trap. After hearing his explanation, Sister Bernier said, "No matter what you say, even after listening to all your lectures, I still believe in God and my religion." Mr. Reed then handed them 2 doors, one marked Believe and the other Disbelieve, and said, "If you believe in God, go through the Believe door. Let's see if God shows you the right path." The sisters went inside the Believe door. It was very dark, so they turned on their phone torches. They saw a table and a chair, along with a small window sealed with wood. They tried to break the seal with the chair but couldn't. Sister Berniers then handed Paxson a letter opener she had stolen from the man's room. She told Paxson, "I will distract him with some words, and when I give the signal, you attack him at the right time. After that, we can escape together." As Sister Berniers began reading prayers, Mr. Reed's voice told her, "This woman is a prophet, and she will soon die with a poisonous bite. After her death, she claimed, she would reveal what she saw in the afterlife." Meanwhile, Sister Berniers went upstairs and saw that Reed had made a model of his house, where he kept the girls like puppets in the positions he desired. She then tried to reach the second Disbelieve door, but both doors led them back into the basement, trapping them again. She noticed a match lying there, which she could have used to set a fire. However, when she tried to take it, her hand slipped. She quickly returned to the door where she had seen the woman calling herself the prophet. She found that the woman had died after consuming a poisonous drink. Checking her veins and breath, they confirmed that the woman was truly dead. Afterward, Mr. Reed said, "Now, this woman will wake up and tell you what she saw in the afterlife." He spoke about how suddenly his house bell rang. Both sisters knew that only the father must have come searching for them. However, Reed lied, saying, "There's no one at my house right now." Since there were no bicycles outside, they believed him, and the father left. Meanwhile, they had brought matches from Reed's room, stored in the basement. They wanted to signal the father that they were trapped, but before they could, the father left. Now, the woman who was calling herself a prophet came back to life. She told them that after her death, she saw a cloud that was not paradise, and everything was not real. Hearing this, Reed returned and took the woman away. Seeing all this, Sister Berniers refused to believe. She asked Reed, "How did you do all this?" "She was dead, and I checked her myself." Bernie was completely confused. She said to him, "Maybe this was her near-death experience. I also had a similar experience when I was a child. When I was very close to dying, I experienced something similar, but then God gave me a new life." Using this distraction, Sister Berniers loudly said magical underwear, signaling Paxson to attack Reed. Before Paxson could strike, Reed quickly pulled out a knife and cut Sister Berniers' throat. Seeing this, Paxson became angry and asked, "What did you do?" Reed calmly replied, "This girl isn't real. She's just a simulation." After killing her, Reed removed a chip from her severed hand and showed it to Paxson, saying, "Look at this." Paxson examined it and said, "This isn't a chip, it's a birth control chip. It has implantation." Paxson then explained, "I know how you did everything. That woman you called a prophet was truly dead. But both the first dying woman and the second woman changed. I noticed that their sitting positions were different. You controlled everything when we came upstairs to take matches. This was all part of your plan." Reed laughed and asked, "How will you prove all this?" To which Paxson responded, "I will find that secret passage." Reed laughed again, saying, "There's no secret passage here." Despite this, Paxson returned to the basement and, to her surprise, discovered the dead woman's body in the passage. She came back and said to Reed, "I told you, all of this is under your control." Hearing this, instead of being upset, Reed was happy. He wanted Paxson to understand everything he had done. He then showed them all the rooms, one of which contained his locked bicycle. When she opened the lock with the key, she found many women imprisoned inside. She was deeply upset seeing this. Reed approached her and said, "Now you understand who the real villain is." In response, she began telling a long story. Her voice was filled with sadness as she spoke. She said, "From the moment we arrived here, you planned everything. You took our keys, locked our bicycles inside, and controlled everything according to your desires. Everything was under your control." Reed, pleased that Paxson understood the truth, responded, "Yes, all religions control us." Paxson, feeling hurt, quickly took out the letter opener given to her by Sister Bernie and turned around to stab Reed in the neck. After killing him, she rushed upstairs. In the room where Reed had made a model of the house, she began searching for a way out. However, she found all the doors interconnected, making it a maze-like structure. She roamed around, but couldn't find an exit. Returning to the same spot, she realized she might be trapped forever. Suddenly, Reed, who was injured, approached her and stabbed her in the body. Paxson was on the verge of dying. At this moment, Reed told her, "You believe in God, and God will listen to you. Pray for both of us." Though Reed believed in God, he questioned why God had allowed such suffering. Paxson prayed, and soon Sister Bernie arrived, fighting her way through. Paxson was relieved and happy to see her. She picked up a piece of wood and killed Reed by hitting him in the neck. However, in a short time, Sister Bernie died, leaving Paxson heartbroken. She returned upstairs and saw Reed's model house again. This time, she discovered a window through which she could escape. Quickly, she opened the window and finally freed herself from the house. As soon as she got out, a butterfly landed on her hand. She recognized it as Sister Bernie's soul, wanting to tell her that she would always be with her. Paxson felt a sense of peace and belief in an afterlife even after death. The butterfly then disappeared, marking the end of the story.